Welcome to video number 7 of the Getting Started series of SMath Studio. In this video, we're going to talk about snippets of code or snippets of functions that will be used in SMath Studio files, and they are available through the Tools menu. In order to demonstrate the use of the snippets, we're going to use this SMath Studio file, which I'm going to increase to another 25%. In this file, I have this area that describes the tool menu. It's actually a very short menu. We can see it from here. That includes the plugins that I mentioned before and the Snippet Manager. And so we're going to work with snippets and open the Snippet Manager. And it turns out that currently there are only 2 snippets. What is a snippet? A snippet is a file. It's an SMath Studio file that you create that includes a function or an equation or some definitions or some data that you're going to be using regularly in other files. And then you store that particular file in a particular folder in the SMath Studio installation. To show you the installation, I'm going to open my browser here and go to this PC. And under the C device, I'm going to find my program files 86, and then I get SMath Studio. And under SMath Studio, that's the installation of SMath Studio, I have a folder called Snippets. By default, the author has provided 2 snippets, one called degrees angles and one called grad angles. To show you what these do, I'm going to open the degree angles. And it's another file. I'm going to close this down. That simply redefines the sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant functions so that the argument will be given in degrees. So the angles get redefined in degrees because by default, the angles, the arguments of the functions, of the trigonometric functions, are in radians. Right, which are like the absolute numbers that you use in calling the function. But if you redefine sine of alpha in degrees, then you have to enter the value of alpha in degrees, and now the arguments will be in degrees. By the same token, the arc, cosine, the inverse trigonometric functions will be redefined in such a way that the angle is in degrees. You get the arc sine of that function in radians, and then divide by in degrees, and then divide by degrees to get you the results in regular numbers. And so this file has been stored, as I mentioned, in the snippets folder in the SMath Studio installation together with another one. And so if you create one, then store it in here, and it will be available for you to use any time that you launch the Snippet Manager. I'm going to create one just to show you something, and we will get back to you in this video. So I have created a file. Let me show you the file. It's available right here. That's page 6. It hasn't been given a name yet, and I'm going to increase the size just for you to see it clearly. This is text. It just describes what this file does. Snippet example, calculating the hypotenuse of a right triangle. That U shouldn't be there. Let's take it out. Given the side AB of a right triangle, function hip AB calculates the hypotenuse, and it's simply adding them square and taking the square root. Now I'm going to save this file. I'm going to go to this PC, and under this PC, look for the C, program files 86, find SMath Studio, find snippets, and I'm going to call it hypotenuse. Okay. It says you like to. It gets any permission. Let me fix that. Actually, what I had to do was to save the file called hypotenuse in my desktop and then open the SMath Studio Snippets folder separately. I'm just going to drag it and drop it there. And it says you need to provide administrator rights. I say continue, and it does. Now I have the hypotenuse file in my snippets, and when I open this is the original file. I'm just going to close it and go back to my Getting Started 07 file. And then if I say over here, for example, click in here and say Tools Snippet Manager, now I see my hypotenuse folder, my hypotenuse program in there. And if I click in here and say Insert, then I get a collapsible area that includes the function. So I'm going to call it I don't know if I got the right spelling right there, but I'm going to call it hypotenuse. And then if I click in here and get the contents of my file, a little bit tight in there. Anyway, but the important thing is the formula is there. And what's the idea here? The idea is that I have the formula available right there, and I don't need to redefine it myself. And I actually move, I don't know what happened here, but I seem to have moved everything down into the page. So I'm going to delete spaces to get it back to the top. And so if I have the function hypotenuse hap of 4, 5, let me just check something here. Oh, it's with uppercase, so I need to type uppercase. And so that calculates my value. If I want to do a symbolic result, I need to do control dot. And it shows that hype of xy calculates the expression right here. And that's how snippets work. When you get something that you need to use regularly in your files, but you don't want to be typing it over and over, you can put it in the snippet folder under your SMath Studio installation, and it will be there permanently for you to load it using the Tool Snippet Manager menu. Okay, so I was mentioning that that the author of the program has this evaluation in degrees. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you do cosine of P control G over 6, that's basically 30 degrees, 0.866. But suppose that you're working in surveying and you want to work with degrees only. You can invoke Tools Snippet Manager, the evaluation in degrees functions, which will be available right there. And instead of saying cosine of pi over 60, you say cosine, of 30. There it is, 0.866. And evaluate all your trigonometric functions in degrees. And for example, if I say here the a cosine of 0.5, okay, if I try it below the evaluation in degrees and I do a cosine of 0.5, it gives me 60 degrees. And so that's the usefulness of snippets. Okay. And I got some definitions in here that I want to show you. What is a snippet? As I mentioned, is something you put in the snippet folder and it's available for you to load. And to use it, you simply use the Tools Snippet Manager to provide the list, and then you select, and any function defined within the snippet, it's available below the point of insertion of the snippet. I was going to make the examples here. I already made some of those. And before I loaded the snippet, which is at this level, if I tried sine of 0.75, again, it's 0.8686, but it turns out a 0.75 radians I'm going to do something. I'm going to click here and put apostrophe DEG, that's degrees. It's 42.97 degrees, and so if I try below the evaluation of degrees, this sign of this value, I get exactly the same result that I obtained over here. And so that's the use of snippets, and with that we will end this particular video.